Where's the real blockbuster?
Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker.
What the
Hello, this is Ken. I like making things. I love finding affordable ways to DIY a variety of things. Money can't buy everything, except maybe figures. I love collecting figures and recreating iconic scenes. Every figure deserved to shine on my display. So every week I ask myself the same question, and answer it by creating something I'm proud of. Join my weekly adventure by subscribing to my channel. Leave your feedback and suggestions down below. I often get inspired by your comments, and I hope I can inspire you too. Last week, I customized my MJ figure to give her the Far From Home / No Way Home look. Check that video out if you haven't already. My favorite photos from that video are these ones here. MJ and Peter are so cute as a couple, and these photos make them look like they will do anything together. And these photos also remind me of the ending of Far From Home and the beginning of No Way Home, where everything went from sweet to nightmare within minutes. Peter's life turned upside down when his identity got exposed by Mysterio and J. Jonah Jameson. Suddenly, the entire world's attention was on them, and they had no clue on how to deal with it. It makes me want to make a diorama display recreating that moment of panic. That means I gotta remove Peter from my Far From Homecoming display. It's a cute display, but a little overcrowded. That's better. Good luck fighting Vulture and Mysterio by yourself, other Spider-Man. Alright, here's the black and red Spider-Man. He didn't come with open palm hands, so I'm gonna use the web shooter hands and hope the fingers are hidden behind his head. Okay, this pose looks really odd and it's impossible to balance Spider-Man like this. So, I'm gonna alter the pose to make him kneel instead. That looks more natural. Yay! The Homecoming Spider-Man figure came with a wide-eyed head. It would be perfect for this pose, so let me put it on. Why won't it? Oh, turns out the hole in this wide-eyed head is much smaller, so I can't really swap the heads. That could have been so cool. But it's fine, because MJ is gonna be there for him. Now, let's set the stage. I want Peter and MJ to be placed on the Queensboro Bridge instead of on the streets. That way, I don't have to include the pedestrians and keep the focus on the two main characters. However, I will include Madison Square Garden, because after all, that's where everything started unfolding when J. Jonah Jameson exposed Spider-Man on the giant screen. And because I want this display to emulate the pressure Peter and MJ were facing, I'm gonna include more screens that were exposing Peter's identity from the movie. I also added the Roosevelt Island tram to the scene so I can have people looking at Peter and MJ without actually having anyone there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Time to build the display. Cut. I'm gonna start with the biggest piece first, Madison Square Garden. It's actually a very basic piece, because the attention will not be on the arena itself. Instead, it will be on J.J. Jameson. This is also a very basic piece. It's just an extruded square. Look at that. This is already pretty cool. Okay, now let's build the rest. I want to give the impression that Peter is now on every screen and billboard in New York. So I'm going to build this tower with a bunch of screen on it. I'm going to start with the ones that inspire me first. The Public Enemy screen. And of course, I have to include the one that started this fiasco. Mysterio. These screens are essentially just thin boxes. I kept this display pretty simple. No fancy folds or cuts required. Because there's already so much going on with this display, I can get away with basic boxy geometric shapes. Alright, so I ended up with 6 different screens. I wanted to make sure they're all slightly different from each other so it feels like things keep getting worse for Peter. I'm gonna put the Public Enemy and Mysterio one on the main side of the building, since these were shown prominently in the movie. And then I'm gonna put the No Spider-Man and Peter Parker one on one side, and Quentin Beck and the Doctored footage on the other. Ta-da! Now this building is finished. Nice. Next, let's work on the actual stage Peter and MJ are gonna stand on. I didn't want to build the actual bridge because 1. That's a lot of work, and 2. The actual bridge didn't play a big part. They only showed a small portion of the bridge in the movie, so that's why mine looks more like a platform than a bridge. This will also help with balancing. I wanted to have a flat, even surface for my figures to stand on. Okay, there's just enough space for the two of them. Perfect. I want them to feel claustrophobic. The Queensboro Bridge has these signature pointy things, or spires, so I think mine will resemble the bridge more once I add these in. Maybe not. Anyway, let's finish the display. The final missing element is the Roosevelt Island tram. There's a bit of empty space on the right side of the display, so that's where I'm gonna put it to balance out the composition. Let's see. It looks pretty good at this height. I just gotta figure out how to suspend it in the air. I'm gonna cut a little slit here and insert a piece of cardboard. The great thing about these displays is that they're made out of paper, so they're really lightweight. It doesn't take much to keep the paper in mid-air. Hey, you can now support me on Patreon. I post quite regularly there, from behind-the-scenes updates to sneak peeks to video breakdowns. Top tier members will receive a DIY 3D mini poster every month. This month's mini poster features Peter Parker, inspired by the crying scene in No Way Home. These mini posters look great by themselves, but even cooler next to other mini posters. I love making things, and this is my way to thank my supporters. The link to my Patreon is in the description box down below. Alright, here's the display all finished. I love the overall composition. Nothing is in scale, and there's this frantic energy to it. Like there's 200 things going on and there's not enough room to breathe. The display is not meant to replicate one specific moment, but rather, I'm trying to capture the feeling Peter was experiencing during this period. His world flipped upside down right in front of his eyes. Suddenly, the spotlight's on him, but not the way he imagined it. He's just a teenager after all. He's not ready to handle this kind of pressure yet. But the fun thing is, I get to include MJ to the display. I can have them interact with each other. So Peter doesn't have to hold his head in all the poses. Alright, let's end this with a photo shoot. I love how dramatic Spider-Man looks here. You can just feel his world crumbling. But fortunately, MJ is there with him by his side. Another cool thing about the display is that I can control what's in the scene. I can keep it simple, so it's just Spider-Man and J.J. Jameson. Or I can make it more dramatic by adding the other tower with all the screens too. For me, I prefer to display Spider-Man with MJ together. What do you think? Do you like this diorama display? Give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Or J.J. Jameson's gonna expose you too. Thanks for watching. Stay inspired and I'll see you next week. I can make it, so can you.